Hey, welcome back. In this video, I actually want to cover some more bounces. And by bounces, I mean that thing I showed you earlier with the arm. There's several other versions of that you can do. And that's what I want to cover in this video. So, obviously, like I showed you before, from the downward flourish, when you extend that elbow out, you can then bounce off that your inner arm here. And every time you bounce anywhere off your body, it's going to reverse the momentum of the chucks. And that's useful in routines because you're going to be wanting to change the direction and the angles all the time. Okay? So, like I showed you, you have that inner arm bounce, as well as the upper arm bounce to get back into the downward wheel. Okay. Another very popular one, a very fundamental one, is being able to bounce off the hip. Okay. Now, if you're using like actual nunchucks, the power of the nunchucks is contained within this last 2 to 3 inches. Okay, so if I were to strike something, I would want that last section to hit because that's where the majority of the force is. Which means anywhere from about here to here, you're safe. That's like your safe zone. Okay, so when you're bouncing, you want to try to keep that bounce contained within that area. So anywhere from where my fingers are in the middle, okay? And that applies to hip bounces as well. So if you can see, I'm not bouncing with that last section, because if I were, it would hurt, and it would start to bruise after a while, especially with metal chucks. So when you bounce, it's almost like you're wrapping the connector around your hip. Okay. And really all you're doing is just touching this section of the handle you're holding to your hip. And then this is just going to carry around and bounce off. Okay. Now this other handle is hitting my back, but it's not hitting me with as much force as it would if it was hitting me with this section at full speed. So even if I do that quick, okay, it's still not hurting me. Again, with the other side as well, you're doing the same thing. You're pretty much just touching this top 1 to 2 inches to your hip and letting the other handle just kind of wrap around your waist. Okay, so if I were to do a clockwise flourish in front of me and then do that little hip bounce, now I'm in counterclockwise. So you can see every time I do that, it reverses the momentum. The same way as this reversed the momentum here. Okay? And that's all you're doing here. Okay? You can also bounce off your shoulders. Again, the same way. This time I'm not touching the handle I'm holding to it. I'm bouncing this section of the other handle off my shoulder. Like that. Okay. Same concept as the waist. You're just kind of letting it roll around your shoulder and then back out. Okay. Let's see what else there is. There's also hand bounces. Okay. So instead of letting it touch my shoulder, or my arm rather, it's just bouncing off my hand. Again, at the top of the other handle. I'm not letting it hit on the bottom, because if I was doing it at full speed, that would hurt. Okay, so it's just bouncing off the top. You can also do horizontal hand bounces. Okay. So you can bounce off almost any part of your body. You can do your shins, your thighs, your feet even. So really the main thing, hopefully you can hear me over the wind, the main thing really is just to practice with these. See if you can get a consistent bounce down. Okay. I would work mainly on the arm bounces and the hip bounces. Those are the two most popular ones, I think. You can also work on the shoulder bounces as well. So a good way to work on these really is to, first of all, practice the arm bounces by themselves, okay, on both sides. And then start working on those hip bounces, back and forth, back and forth. So left, right, left, right. Once you get those down, do the same thing with the shoulders. Left, right, left, right. And once you have all four of those, then you can alternate them. So do 2 on the hip, 2 on the arm, crisscross them, whatever you want to do. And this really just helps you get the feel of having to reverse the momentum by bouncing off a particular part of your body. Okay. You can also add hand bounces in there. You can bounce it off your chest. Again, do not bounce this part of the other handle off any part of your body, because if you're doing it at full speed, that will hurt. And you can actually break a rib doing that. So if you're going to bounce it off your chest, be sure to do it with the top part. Okay. As you can see there. Okay, I'm just bouncing with this part of the chuck. Okay, so you could do shoulder bounces, hip bounces, chest bounces, hand bounces. Okay, so just play around with this, see how many you can get. And again, this is pretty fundamental for being able to reverse the momentum. Okay, so just play around with that. That is bounces, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.